Hey there guys, Artistic Nick here, thanks for the click. In today's drawing tutorial, I'm going to be teaching you how to add realism in your drawing by obeying the laws of light. Hey there guys, welcome to today's drawing tutorial. I had a really good response from my last full video drawing tutorial that we did, which basically talked about how we shade and went into a little bit more depth of the tooth of the paper and how we can get realism in our drawings. I'll put a link to that video up above right now. If you haven't watched that, I would suggest after this video go and have a look at that one. So what I wanted to do today was just try and get across to you how we make things when we're drawing look rounded. Now the key to a good realistic drawing, anything that you want to draw that looks realistic, whether it's a face or an animal, a cartoon character, is to try and trick the viewer's brain into believing that what they're seeing has dimension and has contour. So I'm going to use that word contour quite a lot in today's video. So what I've got to start with is I've got a flat piece of paper on my desk, and I'm just going to show you how we can make something go from looking very flat and two-dimensional to looking three-dimensional. I'm just going to point out some of the ideas, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some ideas of how to create this in your drawings, whether that's with graphite pencils or that's with Copic markers or Prismacolor pencils, whatever medium that you're using. So as you can see here, we've got a flat piece of paper. It's just a standard piece of A4 paper, and my light source is coming in from the left hand side. So my light source is over on this side here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bend the paper and I'm going to crease the paper, and immediately what you can start to see now is as this paper's moving, you can see that the light is hitting different parts of it, and we're now going from what's a 2D piece of paper to something that has dimension into it. So I just want to point out here that as the light is coming in from the left hand side, this edge here is the edge that's catching most of the light. So this is going to be our brightest value. If we were going to draw this, this is going to be our brightest value. The edge in here is not catching quite as much of the light, so we've got a darker recess here, and then the darkest part is along this edge here, and as it comes back down again, we're getting some reflected light coming from the right hand side but we can see that the main light source is hitting this left hand edge here. So if we were going to try and draw this, this would be my darkest value, these would be the mid-tones, and then my lightest highlighted area, the area that I want to keep the most light, would be this area here. If I show you an example of a recent drawing that I've done, just to give you an indication of how we create this. So again, this was my Ninja Turtle that I drew about 2 weeks ago now. And what you can see here going through the drawing is we've got exactly what we just spoke about. We've got darkest tones, we've got mid-range tones, and then we've got the lightest areas. And these combined over the drawing just give a sense of dimension. And I think you'd agree that Leonardo's face here does look rounded. It's got dimension to it. Things that are furthest away from the light are always the darkest. So underneath Leonardo's mask area here, the insides of his mouth, the teeth, and underneath the chin are always going to be our darkest areas. And this just adds dimension. And like we said when I was giving you the example with the paper, trying to understand the difference between your light, your mid and your darkest tones and balancing those throughout your drawing will definitely give you a more realistic look. I'm going to give you one more example now. This was the Iron Giant that I did a few days ago, and again you can see those basic principles coming into play in exactly the same way. So we've got some darker tones. These are my darkest tones on this left side of the Iron Giant's body as we're looking at it, and then the lightest side are on the right hand side here. So we go through light to dark, and I think that you will agree with me again. What we've been able to create here is we've been able to create something that looks like it's coming off of the page and it has dimension rather than it being a flat object. So those laws of light are very, very important when you are trying to create dimension and depth in your drawings. The next thing that I want to quickly talk about, and I'll give you a few ideas as well, looking at what I've been doing with some of my drawings, is the difference between a clean edge and a contoured edge. Now, when we were looking at the piece of paper in its folded form, what we have here is we don't have what we call a clean edge, we have contoured lines or contoured values. So what I mean by that is, if I'm going to be drawing something that I want to have contour and realism, as I'm laying my value down, I'm going to make sure that I don't come to an abrupt stop, abrupt end to the value. Because what this then does is this tricks the mind into thinking that this is the edge of something and there's nothing beyond it. So as I'm laying down, I'm actually laying down with a 4B pencil here, just so that you guys can see that. But as I'm starting to lay down some value now on the paper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start building up a little bit of the value in the center of this, this patch, if you want to call it that. And what this is going to do, this is going to give the impression of a contour, a rounded area, as opposed to an abrupt stop where we're looking at something covering another part of the drawing. So if I was drawing the side of a building, let's say, I would want what's called a clean edge. And this is going to be something that, like I've said, makes my brain perceive something that stops as opposed to something that we can keep, we can see sort of in and out. So I've laid down some value now. So if I start to build up some value now in this middle area, now this again, this could be the piece of paper that I was showing you that we're trying to draw and we're trying to represent. So I'm going to start to build in some value now, and I'm going to taper out the value, so I'm not going to come to an abrupt stop. I'm going to make sure that I'm feathering the graphite on. And like I say, if you haven't watched my tutorial that I did recently about laying down graphite onto paper so that we're not damaging the tooth, I would really recommend going to do that, because you'll understand exactly how I'm starting to build this value up. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start to add some more of the value into this darker area. And because I haven't got what we call a clean edge either side of this value in the center, what we start to do is we start to make this look as though it's slightly rounded. It could be a recess in somebody's face, it could be a paw, it could be looking around the corner of a pole or something like that. So what I'm trying to make sure that I'm doing is I'm gradually fading the value away, and I'm not just coming to an abrupt stop. If I have something here that is what we would call a clean edge to value, now what we look like is we look like we have something that is covering this here. So this now could be something like we said, the edge of a house or the edge of a wall. And because I have a clean edge to this value, it gives me the impression that something is in front of something else. Whereas on the left side of this drawing, what I'm doing is rather than having this very abrupt finish, I am tapering it out, so that what we would then tend to have is the illusion of something that is contoured and rounded, as opposed to something, like I've said numerous times already, something that just comes to an abrupt end. And this is so important for your drawings. If I again bring the Ninja Turtle back, now I've gone through that, you can see the things that I need a clean edge on are the edge of Leonardo's mouth. I need the viewer to believe that this is the end and this is covering up the teeth. So the teeth are behind the snout or the nose here. This, however, has got no clean edges to it. I want the viewer to believe that this is rounded. The mask covers the face, the eyes are behind the mask itself. So we have clean edges. Now when I start any of my graphite drawings, I always begin by finding the clean edges. We've got a clean edge here. So I would want to make sure that I'm not going past this clean edge with any value. Otherwise, it makes the viewer's eye believe that we're looking at something that is contoured and rounded, as opposed to something that needs to stop. I hope this video cleared a few ideas up for you and gave you some more information. If this is the type of video that you enjoy, then don't forget, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think of these. I'm willing to do as many more of these types of videos as you guys would like. I do really think it's important that you learn how to draw correctly and you understand these key principles. So leave me a request down below. If there's something else you'd like me to draw, I'm happy enough to do that. Don't forget to get hold of me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. The links to all of those are down below in the descriptions. It'd be great to hook up with you on there. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. If you haven't subscribed already, go and hit that subscribe button, smack the notifications icon, and that means you won't miss any of my videos. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Hit subscribe, smack the notifications button, follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.